Well, I'm happy with how the pepper seedlings look. These are growing in soil blocks, and I've been experimenting with different recipes over these past couple of weeks. But right now it's early February, and I'm in Zone 8A in Atlanta, and it's still too early for me to really do the real McCoy on sowing my seeds that are going to be planted outside in 6 to 8 weeks from now. But it is the perfect time to not only experiment, but to get all my equipment together. And that's what I wanted to talk to you today, is about the importance of having all of that ready to go when you need to have that narrow window to sow your seeds. It's awful to have to waste the entire day or be looking for your cell trays or your seeds or your tags or whatever, and it holds you up. So use this time as a planner, not a planter. The planter is the one who is trying to do everything at once and they haven't prepared. The planner is the one that's doing this right here, getting all the equipment together. First of all, I don't want to use single-use plastic, so when I am using plastic, it's these. Now these are called Windstrip trays by Neversink Farm. This is a 72 Windstrip tray, and as you look through here, you see lots of holes in between the cells. That's for air circulation, and also there are some slits in here in the cells themselves along the sides that have spaces for air to go in as well. And that's the beauty of this style of tray called the Windstrip, is that the air circulation helps those roots develop and mimic the benefits of soil blocks, which is why they are very popular. So they come in different sizes, 72, 50. They even have individual minis. So if you don't want to sow a whole tray of one thing, you can use these and set them into a bottom tray. The bottom tray is what collects the water and the mess, and I like to have these underneath every cell tray just for the neatness of it and the portability and the transport. And even you could go to something larger, like this is one. This is called a Windstrip XL, and these are 18 large pots, also with the slits along the side and the large opening in the bottom, and yet it still holds the soil in place. So those are my go-to items for what I'm putting my soil and my seeds into as far as long-use plastic. Now let's talk about seeds. We want to make sure that we have our seeds ready, of course, because that's the job for when it's time to do that opportunity. So get your seeds together. For me, I store them. This is an ammo box, but it coincidentally is perfect for seed packets. And you can see how nicely these packets sit into here. And then I just use those manila folders and cut them up for dividers. And then each variety is behind that divider that has a code on it. And the code is on a spreadsheet, and that's how I know what's behind each of those dividers, and I can quickly find the seed I'm looking for. But once you have that seed and you put it, in my case, into this seed dispenser, I really like this as far as equipment goes. All the seeds go into here that I want to sow, and then there's a dial here, and each of the numbers represents the size opening for that number. And then that allows the seed to come out, and it goes down the chute. And these little ridges here are like speed bumps, and that will slow those seeds from going out too fast. But then I sow them into the cell tray. So if I were doing this for real right now, I would put a cell tray either in here and then scoop it out. Here's another thing I want to show you that I use and I love and I find it very convenient, is I put the soil mix that I'm going to be using into a large bin. These are from the box store. You can get these at Home Depot or Lowe's. These are concrete mixing bins, and they are literally under $10, which is the best deal going, and I have a lot of these, but you can get a larger one too. So they have a lot of utility as a gardener and especially as a seed starter. So I put soil into one of them, and then I can put my bottom tray in another one and just dump it in, or if you just want to skip an extra tray, you could just dump it right into here, either one. And then just continue to do that. But this is why I have that separate trays, because it gives me more room to access more soil and then fill it up. So that's a simple process. As for the soil itself, when you get your soil, sometimes it's kind of clumpy or lumpy and there's some hard parts in there, mostly because it's dry and it's very easy typically to break up. Now this is ProMix. This is a peat-based product with perlite in it. Those are those white little flecks that you see. And I do just usually run my hands through here, but a lot of times I'll keep a potato masher nearby. And then I can just push this through here and that quickly breaks it up, which is nice too. So that's an option for you. and get a sturdy metal one if you're going to do that. So now I've got the soil filling the wind strip trays or whatever trays you choose, and you can use takeout containers as long as you have holes in the bottom. That's the main thing. You got to have an opportunity for drainage. And just make sure you get the corners on these too. If you have the wind strip tray, I like to give it a little tap, and then you can see the openings between the cells are all void. There's no soil caught in there, and that's where the air can get in. Now we got to mark these trays or the cells depending on what your preference is. For me, remember I mentioned the spreadsheet. I keep all of my base information on the spreadsheet as to the location of what seed is in what cell. So in this case, it doesn't matter if I sow all of one thing or maybe 3 rows of something and then 3 rows of something else and 3 rows of something else, because I can just make note of what's sown where and put that into the spreadsheet. But this painter's tape, which is a really easy thing to work with, you can peel off some of that, put it onto your cell tray wherever you want. I like to put it on the ends. And I mark on it based on what I'm sowing and where the seed is. And you can use a Sharpie for that. Super easy. But the most important thing, whether you use the traditional plastic tags and put them into each cell, whatever your method is, make sure that you know what is sown where, because all seeds, all tomato seeds look the same, all pepper seeds look the same. You're not going to know what's what if you're sowing multiple varieties of each seed. So tagging it is very important too. But that's the process from getting the equipment together to the day that I'm putting the soil into those cell trays and then sowing the seed. And then so the next step that we will cover in the next video is what happens after this as we go through the entire seed starting and seedling process all the way out to the garden. We'll track the progress with each video that I cover in the meantime.